That day, I sat in those uncomfortable chairs in my daughter's school boardroom, thinking it would be just another conversation about performance, behavior, and plans for the next semester. I work a lot. I'm almost always tired, but I never stop participating in what involves my girl. I may not be the most talkative guy in the world, but I've always been there. When I sat down, she didn't even look in my direction. My wife already had that air of someone who wanted a fight. Her way has changed lately, as if I were a weight she carries, as if everything was my fault. I looked at the teacher, who was trying to make the atmosphere light with that polite smile that teachers in the United States always train for school meetings. But it didn't do much good, because as soon as we settled down, my wife let out the first sentence as if she was keeping poison in her throat. "He's not even a real father." She said this looking directly at the teacher, not at me. As if I were an object there in the corner of the room. I felt as if someone had ripped the air out of my chest. I didn't expect to hear this so directly, especially in front of the teacher, and especially in front of our daughter. That hurt me, because I know how hard I try to be a good father. Maybe I'm not perfect, but who is? Funny that she never complained when the money for rent, food, school came from me. I was there because I had always been there. But she preferred to ignore all this and turn me into the villain of thestery she invented in her head. The teacher didn't know what to say. She arranged the papers, took a deep breath, as if trying to choose words that don't make the scenario worse. I had already seen that type of posture in work meetings, when a client is aggressive for no reason and the other person tries to remedy it calmly. "Well," she started to speak, but my wife interrupted. "He shows up when he wants. He doesn't participate in anything." She spoke with such conviction that it even seemed true. I almost believed it. And it's strange how someone who can so badly hurt you with a sentence still wants to look you in the eye while doing it. But she didn't look at me. She spoke to the audience. She wanted witnesses to her humiliation. I thought about answering, but something stuck inside me. I remembered all the moments I was sitting in auditoriums with the camera in hand. All the times I drank cold coffee waiting for the performance to start. All the times I ran from work straight to school just so I wouldn't miss a minute of our daughter's life. But it seemed that none of that mattered. I kept quiet. I was silent, but inside me something screamed. It was a cry that no one heard, only me. And it hurt. The teacher tried to defend the truth. As far as I remember, he was present at several activities. But my wife laughed. He laughed that laugh that has no humor, only contempt. Because when he shows up, he wants everyone to see it. He makes a point of posing as the perfect dad. She spoke as if I had some kind of plan to deceive the world. I looked at my daughter. She was quiet, curled up in her chair, biting her lip and looking at her mother with a fear that only a child can hide with her eyes. I wanted to hug her right there, tell her that everything was fine, but I knew that if I did that, my wife would even use my hug against me. The teacher tried to regain the focus of the meeting, but my wife kept firing words like someone throwing stones. She spoke of bills, of disgust, of lack of attention. Nothing to do with school, nothing to do with education. It was a personal attack disguised as concern for his daughter. I was caught up in a war that I didn't start, but in which I was the only one being wounded. And the more she talked, the clearer it became that it wasn't about me. It was about her wanting to prove to someone that she had control of everything. I kept my eyes on my daughter. I know she realized the pain I felt because she looked at me as if apologizing for something she didn't do. I swallowed hard. At that moment, I stopped being a victim. I became an observer. I realized that I didn't have to win by shouting. She could say whatever she wanted, but the truth didn't change just because someone shouts louder. I took a deep breath and decided not to fight back, because I knew that when the truth came, it wouldn't be through my words, but for attitudes. It was only a matter of time before this happened. I've always believed that at the end of the day, who we really are shows up in the details. I didn't need to raise my voice or create a scene there, because I knew my daughter saw my every little effort of mine. She knew about the nights I came home late, and yet I sat next to her to help her with her homework. She knew of the times when I almost lost my job for leaving early to watch a 15-minute performance of hers. And even when life got heavy, I never stopped being her father. But my wife seemed to want to erase all of that with a few rancor-filled sentences. She kept talking as if she was telling a case to a court, where she had already ruled that I was guilty of everything that went wrong. He doesn't even know the names of the teachers. He doesn't know her friends. He doesn't know anything about his own daughter. I felt the impact of those words again, but I didn't let it show. I was already tired of trying to convince someone who doesn't want to be convinced. I looked at the teacher and realized that she was trying to disguise it, but she didn't agree with what my wife was saying. Still, she didn't want to get involved in that kind of family conflict. Pa would like to. It was then that something happened. My daughter slowly got up from her chair. She was shaking. The teacher even tried to make a gesture for her to continue sitting, but she didn't stop. He walked until he was among us. And in the most sincere voice I've ever heard in my life, she said, "He comes in every performance, you know." I will never forget the silence that took over the room. A silence that did not come from embarrassment, but from the truth. The teacher confirmed with a simple nod, and that small gesture was worth more than any speech. It took my wife a few seconds to react. He frowned. She did not expect to be contradicted by her own daughter. She didn't expect the truth to come so clean, so quickly and so directly to her heart. I didn't say anything. I just took a deep breath and felt something inside me straighten out, as if I was putting my soul back in place. That was proof that I wasn't crazy. I had been fighting this fight alone for a long time, and suddenly my daughter stood by me without me asking. The teacher, realizing that that moment could turn into something even more tense, tried to continue with the meeting's agenda. She started talking about my daughter's behavior in the classroom, about how polite, kind, and participative she was. It was easy to see where all this came from, but my wife wouldn't let the matter die. She says this because he wants to appear here as a hero. He doesn't care. I was no longer surprised by her level of stubbornness. So who took the day off to be here? The question escaped, but in a calm tone, almost as if I were asking about the weather. She looked at me for the first time since the meeting began. It was a look full of hatred, as if I had taken away the only weapon she had, her version of the facts. And maybe I really did, because there in front of the teacher and our daughter, her lie lost strength. The truth cut deeper than any attack from her. My daughter was still standing, and I noticed that she moved her hands nervous. I lightly touched her arm, asking her to sit next to me. She sat up and I felt her shoulder touch mine. That little contact was everything. It was my silent victory. I didn't need to prove anything to anyone. I had the truth sitting there, leaning against me. They had greed. I had the documents. Not the paper ones, but the ones that really matter. Memories, presences, looks, unexpected hugs, and words that only those who truly love say. I paid attention to what the teacher was saying, even with the tension still present in there. She mentioned some points where I could help more at home with my studies, and I agreed. I was there to learn more about how to support my daughter. That's what a father does. The teacher gave compliments that warmed my chest, saying that my daughter was one of the most dedicated children in the class, and that my presence made a difference. My wife clicked her tongue, as if it bothered her deeply. I didn't expect applause. I didn't expect recognition. I just wanted peace. I just wanted my role as a father to be respected. But those who should be by our side do not always cheer for us. I was already understanding that. I took another deep breath and stood my ground. The best answer is written in a notary's office, I've heard someone say. And at that moment, I knew that life was already writing mine. I just needed to stay there, even when they tried to erase me. After that moment when my daughter spoke, things changed. Not completely, but enough for my wife to realize that she no longer had full control of the narrative. I continued to sit, listening attentively, even when the conversation seemed like a constant attack on me. The teacher talked about some points of attention, a small difficulty in mathematics, occasional distractions in the classroom, normal things for a 6-year-old. I wrote everything down, asked questions, showed myself present. Not to justify myself, but because I really wanted to help. Meanwhile, my wife kept her arms crossed, staring at the window as if she were bored, as if this meeting was a waste of time. I wondered how it was possible for someone to feel uncomfortable with compliments to their own daughter. She seemed only concerned with appearances, with what others would think of her. To her, maybe I was a mistake she preferred to hide. But I was there. I existed. And my daughter knew this better than anyone. The teacher finished the school business, but my wife did not let the meeting end. She needed to attack more, as if she was afraid that that brief moment of truth would turn into a definitive victory for me. He doesn't help at all at home. He doesn't care about us. This is all theater. I closed my eyes for a second, fighting the fatigue that this argument caused me. I was already emotionally drained. Tired of being accused, tired of being guilty of everything that didn't work. The teacher tried to close with elegance. The most important thing is that the presence of the two strengthens your daughter's development. But my wife couldn't stand the thought of me being recognized. She was about to say something even worse when my daughter held my hand. A simple, short, small gesture, but powerful. It was as if she said, "I know who you are. I know what you do for me." None of us said anything at that moment, but that touch spoke louder than any defense. The teacher decided to end the heavy atmosphere once and for all, thanking us for our presence and accompanying us to the door. I let my wife go ahead with her daughter, while I was a moment late collecting some papers that the teacher had given me. When we went out into the hallway, my wife was walking fast, as if running away from something. Maybe it was the truth. Perhaps it was hers. When we got to the parking lot, my daughter ran up to me before getting into the car with her mom. She hugged me tightly, strong as if I wanted to glue my heart back in place. He whispered softly, "Dad, I have spoken the truth." I lowered myself to her level and smiled. "I know, my love." And that was very important. She looked at me as if waiting for a promise. And I did. "I'll never leave you alone, ever." My wife interrupted us. "Let's go." Her tone was harsh, impatient, as if she was bothered by that moment. I put our daughter's backpack in the back seat and helped her put on her seatbelt. She grabbed my arm before I closed the door, as if she wanted to stop me from going. I stroked his face and said, "I'll see you at home." And she smiled with her eyes because her mouth was busy holding back the tears. My wife slammed the door as soon as I was done. He got in the car and drove off without giving me time to close properly. Once again, she wanted to leave me behind, literally. But I stood there watching the car drive away and thinking that no matter how hard she tried, she would never be able to erase the bond that my daughter and I had. Real priests are not defined by accusations spoken out loud. They are defined by silent love that repeats itself every day, even when no one recognizes it. I went back to my car and took a deep breath. That meeting had hurt me, but it had also shown me that I wasn't fighting alone. My daughter saw me, and when a child sees it, none else can lie so easily. I drove home with a weight on my chest, but with one firm certainty: I needed to do something. Maybe it was time to adjust some cool things and officially document my participation in her life. I knew that my wife was getting more and more distant, and I couldn't risk waking up one day to find that I had been taken away from the right to be a father. The truth was on my side. I just needed to protect her. Sometimes the best fight is in silence, and presence, when it is constant, becomes proof. I didn't need witnesses. I had my daughter. It was my greatest truth, my best document, my reason to remain firm, and I was ready for whatever came next. When I got home that night, the mood was heavy. The door slammed as my wife walked in with our daughter, as if she wanted the whole house to feel the anger she was holding. I entered a few minutes later, already expecting the confrontation that would come, but still feeling that butterflies in my stomach that I can't control. I closed the door slowly, trying not to make any more noise, but it was no use. She was already waiting. "You loved it today, didn't you?" She spoke without even looking at me. He was taking off his coat, throwing his bag on the couch with an almost rehearsed contempt. "You and her against me. Beautiful." I took a deep breath. I could say so many things, point out so many injustices, but I realized that it was not worth arguing with someone who just wanted to win, not to understand. "I did nothing but be there for our daughter," I answered calmly. And it was exactly this calm that made her even more furious. She turned, finally staring at me as if waiting for him to start screaming. "You're trying to make me look crazy. You want everyone to think you're the perfect dad." She came closer, her face almost touching mine. "But I know you." I held back the momentum to react. I had long understood that any explosion of mine would be used as ammunition. So I stood firm, breathing, keeping myself whole. "I don't want to be perfect. I just want to be her father." She laughed, but it wasn't a humorous laugh. It was a laugh of despair. "Her father," he repeated quietly, as if chewing poison. Our daughter overheard the argument and appeared in the hallway, hugging her favorite stuffed animal. The way she looked at me, it was not fear, it was worry, as if she already knew she needed to protect me from something. My wife noticed her presence and changed her tone in an instant, putting a soft mask on her face. "Go to your room, honey. Dad and I are just talking." But the girl did not leave. She ran up to me and hugged me by the waist tightly. and she stood there, squeezing as if she wanted to say everything she couldn't with words. I ran my hand through her hair and took her to the bedroom, read a short story, and sat next to her for a few minutes until she fell asleep. When I returned to the living room, my wife already had that cold, distant look. This will not stay like this. I'm not going to let you turn her against me. I stood in silence, analyzing every word. She really believed that I was manipulating our daughter, when in fact, she didn't realize that she was Theon who was moving away. I don't want war inside this house, I said. But if you continue like this, she will lose. My wife frowned in anger but did not respond. She walked out and climbed the stairs, stamping her feet, as if she wanted to mark power with every step. I stood alone in the living room, staring at the front door, and at that moment I was sure of one thing. I needed to prepare. Love alone does not always protect. Sometimes we need proof, records, testimonies, because the world can be cruel to parents who struggle alone. I sat down and decided that the next day I would talk to a lawyer, not to take custody away from her, but to make sure they never took her away from me. I stood there for a while, in silence, thinking of my daughter's little hand holding mine, in her courage to stand up in that meeting. In fact, she spoke at the right time, and I understood that even if everything around me tried to knock me down, I had a reason to stay on my feet. I wasn't going to let anything destroy what I built with her. Nothing. The next morning, I woke up before everyone else. The sky was still dark and the house was silent. I brewed coffee, not because I was hungry, but because I needed something to occupy my hands while my head tried to get everything in order. I looked at the living room door and remembered my daughter hugging me before going to sleep. It was that gesture that pushed me forward. I took out my cell phone and started looking for lawyers specializing in family law here in the United States. I never thought it would come to this. I got married imagining that we would build a solid family, that we would face problems together. But now I was there, trying to make sure that I would continue to be the father of my daughter. It was strange to fight for the right to continue doing what I already do every day. To love, to care, to be present. My wife came down a few minutes later, still with her face marked by sleep, but with that cold look that had become commonplace. She drank coffee without saying a word. I didn't say anything either. Sometimes silence says what discussion never can. Our daughter came down soon after, with messy hair and the shy smile of someone who is trying to keep the day light, even though she feels the tension around her. I took her to school as usual. When she hugged me before entering, she whispered, "Today there is a rehearsal for the winter presentation. You're coming, right?" I touched her face and replied without hesitation, "I always come." She smiled and ran to the door of the room. I stood there for a few seconds, watching. With each step of her, I reaffirmed within myself that it was all worth it. On the way back, I received a message from the lawyer making an appointment for that afternoon. My heart pounded. It felt like I was cheating on someone, but I knew that the only person who really mattered in that decision was in school now, learning to write words with colored pencils and to discover the world with curiosity. When the time came, I sat down in front of the lawyer and told everything without exaggeration, without inventions, only the truth. He listened to me seriously and said that the most important thing was proof of presence and involvement in the child's life, and I had that in abundance. Photos, videos, documents of school activities, and most importantly, witnesses. The teacher could confirm everything that happened at the meeting. He asked me to record everything, including the discussions at home that involved my relationship with my daughter. I left the office with a heavy relief in my chest. Relief because I was protected. Heavy because I knew that this was just the beginning of a silent battle. But I was ready. I had time. I had patience. And I had love. They wanted to hurry. I had time. That night, when I went to put my daughter to bed, she held my hands and said, "Daddy, I know you love me." I felt my eyes fill, but I swallowed the tears before they fell. "And I will always love you, no matter what." She leaned her head on my arm and closed her eyes calmly. And there, in that small room with a dim light illuminating her face, I understood everything. The justice I sought was not for me. It was for her, so that she would grow up knowing that there was someone who never gave up on being on her side. Sometimes the best answer is written in a notary's office, but other times, it is said by a child of only 6 years old at the right time, with the purest truth that exists. I closed the bedroom door slowly and took a deep breath. The house was silent, But for the first time in a long time, the silence did not hurt me. He strengthened me.